Hello, believers of Christ. Hope you're doing well. So, today I'll be taking you guys through Genesis chapter 7, verse 10. And it says, "And after the 7 days, the flood waters came on the earth." That's the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. So, this verse has 7 main teachings or lessons we can take away from it. The first one, God's timing is perfect. The flood began exactly after 7 days, showing that God acts according to his perfect schedule. Yes, God is a God of perfect timing. The second teaching, warning precedes consequences. The 7-day warning allowed preparation, illustrating that God gives time to obey before judgment. Yes, the 7 days was for preparation, not to prepare. Noah and his family to prepare boarding the ark before the flood eventually comes, which we are going to see in the next episode. Next episode and episodes, which are spoilers. So stay tuned. The third teaching, faith requires trust in God's timing. Noah and his family had to trust that the flood would come exactly as God said, teaching resilience on divine timing. The fourth teaching, obedience protects in times of crisis. Following God's instructions allowed Noah and the animals to be safe, showing that obedience is a source of security. Yes, obedience provides security in our lives. Obedience to God, that is, provides security in our lives. The fifth teaching, God executes judgment righteously. The flood was the result of human corruption, as we saw in the previous episodes, highlighting God's justice and moral order. Yes, the flood was the result of human corruption that we saw in Genesis chapter 6, the previous chapter. It was such an amazing chapter. The sixth teaching, preparation leads to survival. Because Noah prepared for the flood, he withstood the coming disaster, emphasizing the value of planning and obedience. The seventh teaching, God's promises are reliable. God promised salvation for the obedient. The fulfillment of the flood timeline shows that God's word is trustworthy. Yes, we can always rely on God's promises. God always keeps his promises. We as Christians should trust God's timing, even when it requires patience. We as Christians should respond to God's warnings by preparing and obeying. We as Christians should understand faith involves trusting God's promises fully. We as Christians should understand obedience provides protection in times of crisis. We as Christians should recognize that God's justice ensures accountability. We as Christians should plan and act diligently according to God's guidance. We as Christians should rely on God's promises because they are sure and dependable. Yes, God's promises are sure and dependable. So that's all I had for today, guys. Thank you very much, and as usual, God bless.